Yo guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to talk about the upcoming MMORPG Diablo IV. There seems to be a lot of debate in the Diablo community if the MMORPG route is the way to go for this game. Whether it's right or wrong, Blizzard has already decided, and it is absolutely the direction that they are choosing to go in for this game. And one thing that I want to say is that Blizzard is undeniably the most successful company when it comes to producing an MMORPG. In terms of overall success, I think it is really hard to argue that any other MMO has been more successful than World of Warcraft. For this reason, I have a lot of faith in the developers for Diablo IV to turn this into a great game. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that we've learned over the past couple of months. On my screen, we've got a map of the world that we're going to be playing in Diablo IV. In a recent test, players were able to level up characters to level 25 and explore the Fractured Peak zone. If we go onto YouTube and we just type Diablo IV World, we can see that the first two videos are both talking about how massive the open world is going to be in this game. During the test, the players that got to experience the Fractured Peak zone say that it is absolutely huge. But not only is it huge, everybody's saying that there are a lot of things to do in each zone. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that you're going to need to do in Diablo IV. The first thing that we know is that exploration in this game is highly encouraged, if not mandatory. So while you're exploring in each zone, you're going to come across statues that look like this. These are called Altars of Lilith. It is going to be imperative for the strength of your character that you collect these in every single zone. One of the players who had demoed the Fractured Peaks said that they found 28 Altars of Lilith in that zone alone. What these altars are going to do is they're going to give your character a permanent buff. The really nice thing about this is that when you get this permanent buff, it doesn't just apply to the character that you found the altar on. Once you grab this altar, it is going to apply the permanent buff to all of your characters. I think that this is an incredibly good design because it's going to make the game feel less repetitive when we're running through with alts so that we don't feel like we have to 100% clear the game every single time we want to level up another character. But this is just one of the reasons that exploration is so important in Diablo IV. Let's go ahead and talk about the Renown system and how this is also tied into exploring everything that you can in the game. When I've heard the Renown system described to me, I kind of think that it sounds a little bit like Reputation in World of Warcraft. Similar to the Altars of Lilith, the Renown system is going to give your character a permanent buff as well. By achieving the maximum Renown in every zone, you're going to be able to get +3 skill points, +4 Paragon points, as well as an additional potion charge. Because there's 5 zones in the game, that gives you an opportunity to get a maximum of +15 skill points, 20 additional Paragon points, and 5 additional potion charges. Similar to the Altar of Lilith, this is also a global buff that is going to apply to all alternate characters that you make. In some capacity, the Renown is awarded to you just by kind of exploring and playing the game, but let's dive into exactly what you can do to get max Renown in each zone. You're going to get Renown points every time you find an Altar of Lilith, each time you get a waypoint, every time you discover a new area, and whenever you clear a stronghold or dungeon or complete a side quest. In a sense, just naturally playing through the game and doing as much content as you can is going to reward you with a lot of Renown points. So between the Altars of Lilith and the Renown system, it seems like Blizzard is really trying to encourage us to experience the entire game. It's a little bit hard to say this with certainty, but it kind of sounds like they want us to do 100% completion of each zone to make sure that we're not missing any of these permanent buffs for our characters. Another reason that we're encouraged to do everything in the game is the Codex of Power. If you haven't heard of the Codex of Power yet, it's a little bit similar to the Kanai's Cube. Each time that you clear a new dungeon, you're going to unlock a legendary power in the Codex of Power. Once you've cleared that dungeon and you have unlocked the power, you can go back to town and apply that legendary power to any piece of gear that you have on. Do bear in mind though that you can only apply these legendary powers to a piece of gear that is at least rare quality or higher. Most, but not all, legendary powers are going to be available in the Codex of Power as well. As much as this allows for a really large amount of customization to your character, one thing to keep in mind is that whenever you use the Codex of Power and apply one of these legendary abilities to a piece of gear, it is always going to get the lowest roll possible. So what that means is if there's an item in the game that can roll from 50 to 100% additional whirlwind damage, let's say, if you get that item, the item can roll to 50 to 100, but if you unlock that ability in the Codex of Power, it will only give you the 50% damage increase. I think that this is a really nice design. It sounds like this is going to allow us to have a large amount of customization on our characters and also to get fairly powerful a little bit quickly. But at the same time, we're still really encouraged to go out and actually find these pieces of gear so that we're not just stuck with the lowest roll possible. Hopefully this will let us kind of get into a strong build quickly and test it out to see if we like it before we dedicate ourselves to go farming out all of the gear for that particular build. Another nice thing about the Codex of Power is you can open it up and see each legendary ability that's in there. You can then click on that legendary ability and it will tell you which dungeon that you need to clear to unlock that power. As excited as I am for Diablo 4, I do have some concerns about this game. With this game encouraging 100% completion of each zone, I am a little bit worried about burnout. The most recent open world game that I had played was Elden Ring. In these open world games, I do like to clear as much content as I can. One thing that I will say though is, as much as I loved Elden Ring, I was trying to be a completionist. I was clearing every single last side dungeon, trying to do every quest, but by the time that I got to the Altus Plateau, I was pretty burned out. I did finish the game, but I ended up being a lot less committed to doing that 100% completion in every single zone. As much as it's nice to be encouraged to explore 100% of the game, I am concerned that it is just going to become a bit tedious. It seems like this game is loaded with a lot of busy work. Between finding every altar of Lilith, clearing every single dungeon, and maxing out your renown, it just sounds like there's a lot of work that has to be done. Without testing it, it's a little hard to say if this is going to be really fun and engaging, or if it's going to quickly burn players out. I really hope that it is the former and not the latter, but we'll have to see when the game comes out. What I can say with certainty though, is that I'm very excited for this game. In my opinion, Blizzard has absolutely nailed it in the MMORPG genre so far. One aspect of this game that I am really excited for though, is that it really does seem to encourage you to make alts. If we compare this to Blizzard's other MMO, World of Warcraft, and we think about making alternate characters, let's compare a few differences. So in Diablo 4, once again, each time you get an Altar of Lilith or you get Max Renown, that's going to be shared globally among your characters. I think that one of the worst parts about World of Warcraft and making alternate characters is that you have to do a lot of this busy work multiple times. If we compare this to something like attunements in World of Warcraft, you have to go through this really tedious quest line each time you make a new character. A lot of players have been asking for globalized attunements in World of Warcraft for a long time. This is especially common for classic WoW players and having to get attuned for these raids like Onyxia and Molten Core. So it seems to me like the dev team from Diablo 4 is kind of listening to the community from prior MMORPGs. But ultimately, I cannot wait until June 6th to play this game, and I want to know what you think. Go ahead and drop a comment down below and let me know how you feel about this 100% exploration aspect of the game, almost feeling mandatory. Do you think that it's going to be a really complete and fun design, or do you think it's going to feel a little bit more like busy work? As always, folks, I genuinely appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you on the next one.